Your house is a death trap. That cabin in the woods you've been dreaming about? A coffin with better views. Your apartment in the city? You'll be dead before the power grid fails completely. When society collapses, and it will, your survival depends on one decision above all others: where you defend. Most people will choose wrong. They'll pick locations based on comfort, nostalgia, or prepper fantasy bullshit they saw on YouTube. They'll fortify indefensible positions, burn through resources defending approaches they can't cover, and die when the desperate mob figures out they can't watch every angle at once. Location is everything. Structure determines whether you're a hard target or easy prey. Get it wrong, and all your guns, supplies, and tactical gear become loot for whoever overruns your position in the first week. This isn't about the best building. It's about the 3 building types you can actually defend with limited people, realistic resources, and the understanding that everyone outside your perimeter is a potential threat. Let's talk about what actually works when the shooting starts. That farmhouse you're eyeing? It's got windows on 4 sides, approach routes from every direction, and sight lines that work both ways. You'll spot threats at 200 yards, while they spot you from 400. Congratulations, you've chosen a target. Rural cabins are worse. You're isolated, which sounds tactical, until you realize isolation means no backup, no early warning from neighbors, and raiders can take their time surrounding you. Your nearest help is 10 miles away, and not coming. You'll die alone while your supplies get redistributed to people who made better choices. Your current suburban home is a joke. Vinyl siding, standard residential doors, windows everywhere. A determined attacker with a pry bar gets inside in under 2 minutes. The half-acre lot means you can't see threats until they're practically at your door. Here's what actually matters. Controlled access points you can actually defend. Elevated positions for observation and fields of fire. Structural integrity that stops more than harsh language. And resource storage that doesn't require external supply lines. Your emotional attachment to a location is irrelevant. Tactical advantages determine whether you're still breathing in 90 days. Most buildings fail these requirements. The 3 that don't share specific characteristics that multiply defensive capability while minimizing manpower requirements. Fire stations are fortresses that nobody recognizes as fortresses. They're built to withstand vehicle impacts, store hazardous materials safely, and operate during disasters. That translates directly to defensive capability. Start with structure. Reinforced concrete or cinder block construction. Walls thick enough to stop small arms fire. Steel roll-up doors on the vehicle bays that create controllable choke points. Anyone trying to breach those doors is trapped in a fatal funnel while you engage from elevated positions inside. The vehicle bays themselves are your primary defensive advantage. 12 to 15-foot ceilings give you height superiority. Clear sightlines to the entrance. Room to maneuver. Those bays become kill zones where attackers have zero cover, and you've got concrete walls and interior positions. Fire stations are built on major roads for response time. That's access and observation. You can see threats approaching from multiple directions. The tower or training tower gives you an elevated observation post that covers 360 degrees for hundreds of yards. Existing infrastructure matters. Backup generators already installed. Water storage tanks for firefighting operations that hold hundreds to thousands of gallons. Industrial kitchen facilities, sleeping quarters, radio equipment. This isn't starting from zero. You're occupying a disaster response facility that's already equipped for exactly the kind of emergency you're facing. Your first job is securing those vehicle bay doors. They're steel, but they're designed to open, not resist sustained assault. Weld rebar across the inside in a crosshatch pattern, spaced 6 inches apart. This turns each door into a reinforced barrier that won't buckle under ramming attempts. Leave one bay operable for your own vehicle access. The others become permanent walls. Windows are your primary vulnerability. Fire stations have large windows for natural light and visibility. Board them from the inside with half-inch plywood, backed by sandbags, stacked 3 feet deep. This stops bullets and provides firing ports. Cut 4-inch horizontal slits at chest height for observation and fields of fire. Attackers can't see in. You can see and shoot out. The observation tower becomes your early warning system. Post a guard with radio communication 24 hours. Rotation is every 4 hours to maintain alertness. Sightlines from elevation give you 5 to 10 minutes warning before threats reach effective engagement range. That's the difference between prepared defense and getting overrun while you're sleeping. Exploit the water storage. Most stations have 500 to 2,000 gallon tanks. Ration at 1 gallon per person daily. That's 2 to 6 months of water for a small group without resupply. The backup generator runs the pump. Fuel is your limiting factor, not water access. Minimum defensive force, 4 people. 2 on guard rotation, 2 on rest and resupply duties. Self-storage facilities are modular fortresses that nobody thinks about tactically. They're built like minimum security prisons. Perimeter fencing, limited access points, individual reinforced units, and interior corridors that turn into death traps for anyone who breaches the outer defenses. The geometry works for you. Most facilities have one main entrance with vehicle gates. That's your single choke point. Everything else is perimeter fence with minimal breach points. You're not defending a 360-degree perimeter. You're defending one gate and monitoring fence line. Interior corridors are fatal funnels, 10 to 15-foot wide hallways with units on both sides, metal doors every 10 feet. Anyone pushing down those corridors has zero cover while you've got firing positions from multiple units. They can't flank you. They can't suppress you effectively. They're walking into a meat grinder with walls. Individual units become rooms. Climate-controlled units for medical supplies and food storage. Standard units for ammunition, water, and equipment. Living quarters in the larger units. You're not building infrastructure. You're organizing existing boxes into a functional base. The corrugated metal construction isn't ballistic rated, but it doesn't need to be. Units are cover, not concealment. The defensive advantage comes from geometry and controlled access, not wall thickness. Pick a facility with concrete block construction if you want better protection. Secure the main gate first. Weld it shut from the inside, or reinforce it with vehicle barriers positioned 15 feet back from the entrance. This creates a kill zone between the gate and your first defensive line. Anyone who breaches the gate is trapped in open space with nowhere to hide, while you engage from elevated positions on the second floor units. Chain link perimeter fencing is your early warning system, not your defensive line. Reinforce it with barbed wire angled outward at 45 degrees along the top. Attach tin cans or bells as noise traps. You're not stopping determined attackers with fence. You're buying time and eliminating silent approaches. Establish your observation post on a second-floor corner unit with sightlines to the entrance and maximum fence coverage. Rotate guards every 4 hours. One person can monitor the entire facility from elevation because the layout funnels threats to predictable approach routes. Climate-controlled units become your medical and food cache. Stable temperatures prevent spoilage and medication degradation. Standard units hold water in 55-gallon drums, ammunition in ammo cans, and fuel in approved containers. Living quarters go in the largest units near your defensive positions. Roof access is your vulnerability. Most facilities have flat roofs with external ladders or stairs. Remove the ladders. Weld the roof access doors shut from inside. Block stairwells with sandbag walls at the top landing. Strip malls are community defensive positions disguised as failed capitalism. Multiple connected businesses sharing common walls, parking lots that create 100-yard cleared kill zones, loading docks for vehicle access, and enough square footage to house 15 to 25 people, with separated functional areas. The connected structure is your advantage. Breach one exterior wall, and you're still separated from the rest of the complex by interior walls and controlled access points. Attackers can't sweep the entire building after one breach. They're fighting room to room through reinforced positions, while you fall back through prepared defensive lines. Parking lots become your outer defensive perimeter. Cleared fields of fire extending 50 to 100 yards from the building. No cover for attackers. Elevated positions inside the building give you overlapping fields of fire across the entire approach. Anyone crossing that parking lot is exposed for the 30 to 45 seconds it takes to reach the building. That's enough time to break an assault. Loading docks are vehicle access points you control. Back a truck inside, drop the dock door, and you've got secured supply delivery without exposing your position. This matters when you're scavenging or trading with other groups. The structure supports community defense. One person can't hold a strip mall, 15 can. This isn't a solo survival position. It's a small group fortress that requires coordination, trust, and clear command structure. Group defense requires structure, or it becomes armed chaos. Establish clear command hierarchy before you need it. One person makes final tactical decisions. No committees, no votes during contact. Democratic leadership gets people killed when seconds matter. Guard rotation is 4 hours on, 8 hours off, minimum 3-person teams. 2 on watch, 1 on quick reaction. This maintains 24-hour coverage with 15 people while allowing rest cycles. Fatigue kills alertness. Alertness keeps you alive. Anyone who falls asleep on watch gets expelled. Zero tolerance. Their mistake gets everyone overrun. Separate living quarters from defensive positions. People sleep in the interior units with no exterior access. Defensive positions stay manned, but empty of personal gear. This prevents someone from barricading themselves in a defensive position if they decide your supplies look better than cooperation. Internal security matters more than external threats after Week 3. Hunger makes people flexible about loyalty. Establish weapons control. All firearms stored in a central armory with 2-person access protocol. Nobody walks around armed inside the perimeter, except active guards. This prevents internal coups and impulsive violence when resources get tight. Screen everyone before they enter. No exceptions for friends, family, or people with good stories. Interview separately. Check for weapons. Quarantine for 48 hours in an isolated unit. Desperate people lie convincingly. Perfect location selection doesn't guarantee you live. It improves your odds from hopeless to maybe. That's the best you get when civilization collapses, and everyone's fighting over the same limited resources. Fire stations fall when fuel runs out, and the generator dies. Self-storage facilities get overrun when a group with more people and better weapons decides your supplies are worth the casualties. Strip malls collapse from internal disputes, or when half your defensive force dies from disease, and you can't maintain guard rotations. Average defensive position survival timeline is 3 to 6 months, not years, months. Attrition kills you slowly. Every firefight costs ammunition you can't replace. Every injury depletes medical supplies. Every day burns food and water. Eventually the math stops working, and you're defending an empty fortress with exhausted people and no resources. The positions that survive past 6 months do it through brutal pragmatism. They trade, they negotiate, they avoid contact when possible, and hit hard when necessary. They make calculated decisions about who gets expelled when food runs short. Survival isn't about heroic last stands. It's about cold math and colder decisions. Choose your location based on tactical advantage, fortify it properly, staff it adequately, then understand that you're still probably going to die, just later than everyone who picked wrong.